We have some Am I the A-hole stories, so we're gonna decide if they are the a-hole or not. First story, am I the a-hole for having my ex arrested at my wedding? This happened 2 days ago at mine, 28, and my wife's 39 wedding, and a lot of people are telling me I'm in the wrong for having my ex, 27, arrested. And my wife is saying I ruined the wedding and caused a scene. First, a little backstory on the ex. We were together over 5 years ago for a matter of weeks. I broke things off because I just wasn't into her that much. She began to pester me over text and social media all the time to get back together or just hook up. This went on for months, and in a particularly weak moment, I gave in and I slept with her again. At this point, things got a lot worse. I tried to explain that it was a mistake and I still didn't want anything to do with her. From then on, the messages ranged from abusive to begging me for sex, and eventually I just blocked her. From then, she started turning up at my house, work, social spaces that I went to often. She attempted to force herself on me and threatened violence, and at one point, I got a restraining order. Since then, I haven't heard from her in years. I met my wife 3 years ago, and she is honestly the best thing in my life. We fell in love hard, and honestly, we have a great relationship. We got engaged after 2 years, and 2 days ago, finally had our wedding. Guys, if you see me petting something, Lila is on my lap, just so you know. She says hi. She's waving from down here. We got engaged after 2 years, and 2 days ago finally had our wedding. The day was going amazingly until a friend of mine, who I will call Chris, turned up with his +1, my ex. I spoke to him and he had absolutely no idea about my history with her, and we tried to get her to leave. After she refused, I decided to just ring the police. 2 officers showed up to arrest her for breaking her restraining order, and she flipped out. She was shouting and screaming. She hurled abuse at my wife and claimed that we were meant to be together, which obviously distracted from our wedding. Now my wife is upset with me for causing a scene, and a lot of our friends are saying that I should have just ignored it and focused on the day because she wasn't causing any problems up until the police showed up. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. Yes, my wife knew I had a restraining order against a stalker. We spoke about it when we started to become serious. Things were fine for now, but doesn't mean things were always going to be fine as the night went on. The police might have ended up getting called anyways, you know? We have an update though. It's been a very long day since I first posted. I have spoken to both my wife and Chris. Starting with my wife, we had a very long, tearful conversation about everything from my ex to the wedding. I apologized for the fact that I didn't consider involving her before calling the police, which meant that my ex's outburst when being escorted out came as a complete surprise to her. She apologized for the way she reacted and explained that she wasn't angry at me, but is angry at the ex and the fact that the wedding was ruined and that the focus was shifted away from us to the ex. Her anger was just misdirected. Another reason for the anger is that a lot of guests had no idea who X was, so her comments of "we're meant to be together" has apparently led to some people theorizing that I was cheating on my wife with my ex, so we are now having to put out fires before rumors begin to spread. What a nightmare. My wife is now very much focused on making sure I am okay after all of this, though she's still distraught that our special day was ruined, but we will work through that together. On to Chris. This is where things get a little scary. My wife and I called him together firstly to check that he is okay, and secondly to see how the hell she has managed to worm her way into his life in order to get to my wedding. According to Chris, they connected over social media. She started liking his posts over the course of about a month and then DM'd him, and they started chatting from there. The crazy part is that to Chris, X has a completely different name, but the post on her profile dated back 3 years, meaning she has had this profile with a fake name for at least 3 years, and it's not the only one. She's cuckoo bonkers. Chris told us that a few other guys contacted him after the wedding saying they recognized her as they had all got DMs from her on different accounts, all with a different name. There are at least 3 other accounts that we are currently aware of. Apparently, the ex showed no signs of being obsessed with me or even that she knew who I was. So he invited her as a +1, thinking they might actually get serious as they were having a really good time together. He has apologized profusely, but we have made it clear that we do not blame him for this. There has been no word currently on what's going on with her, but considering her breaching the restraining order and resisting arrest, we assume she will probably end up going to prison. My wife and I have spoken about it, and if we are contacted by the police, we will absolutely press charges, and the wife will also be getting a restraining order. For now, we are going to try and enjoy our honeymoon and deal with the rest of this mess when we get back. Just think, that girl was sliding into any guy's DMs that could have been at that wedding. And think about how excited she was when Chris got a +1 and she's like,
I did it. I got in. I will be at the wedding.
Psychotic. All right, guys. Am I the a-hole? I'm saying absolutely not. She had a restraining order in place and she broke it. And I wouldn't trust that she wouldn't do anything that day or throughout the night, or that she would have caused a scene in itself. Next story. Am I the a-hole? My fiance, 27 female, does not want to live with me, 30 male. But y'all are engaged to be married? Okay, there's gotta be a reason. This story came May 9th, 2026, also very recently. I recently moved to my now fiance's city, about 2 hours away from my career. She still lives with a roommate to help keep the rent costs down. I make probably 3 to 4 times her income, and throughout our relationship, she's constantly been stressed about money. Even while I was in school with essentially no income, I covered probably 90% of our expenses through savings and student loans. She also has student loans, but only pays the minimum and has built basically no savings after nearly 2 years of working. I wouldn't call her irresponsible or a huge spender, but there's definitely room in her budget to either pay more towards loans or put money away consistently. Meanwhile, during school, I passed on countless trips, bachelor parties, and other things because they simply were not in the budget for me. She, on the other hand, has said yes to every wedding and bachelorette trip despite living paycheck to paycheck. I understand it's hard saying no to weddings, but skipping a bachelorette trip for financial reasons is something that most people understand. Early in our relationship, she also adopted a dog. I love the dog now, but financially, it was honestly a terrible decision for someone who was already stressed and depressed over money. Fast forward to now. We're engaged and I moved to her city because she loves her job and I was ready to leave mine anyway. I assumed that we would eventually move in together. My thought process was simple. I would cover most of the rent while she focused on paying down loans and building savings so that we could eventually buy a house after the wedding. Outside of the weddings and the dog, she is pretty modest. She rarely buys things for herself. She shops out of her wealthy friend's closet half the time, doesn't spend much on herself, and drives a very basic car that she bought out of necessity. The issue is that she recently told me she has very strong beliefs about not living together before marriage. That's the reason. It is one of her non-negotiables, and there's definitely family pressure involved too. What confuses me is that when we lived 2 hours apart, she would stay at my place for days at a time with the dog, and her family was perfectly fine with it. So I struggle to understand where the line is between that and actually living together while engaged. I'm having a hard time with it because I feel like I'm planning for us as a team financially, saving for a house, paying off debt, building investments, creating stability, funding the things we want to do together, while she doesn't seem to think much beyond the present. We've sat down and looked at her finances together, and even she agrees there's room to save more or make extra payments, but it just never happens. She asked me recently if I was upset with her, and I told her honestly that I am. It feels like all of the long-term financial pressure is now on me, like buying a house, building savings, and all that. Even just being able to enjoy the rewards of sacrificing 10 years to build a career that can support a future family. I moved to her city so that she could stay close to the job she loves, her friends, and family. But when it comes to the person she's agreed to spend her life with, it feels like there's no willingness to compromise. It starts to feel like emotions, traditions, and family expectations matter more than practical reality. What I can't wrap my head around is this. The biggest stress in her life is money, yet she's unwilling to take what feels like the most obvious step toward improving that situation with her future husband. To add, she is truly an amazing, sweet human that I love dearly, financially, and I want to be the mother of my children. This has been a constant battle, and it recently came to head ever since moving. Am I insane? I don't think you're insane. I don't know what the answer would be here. I don't think you're an a-hole for suggesting that or for wanting things to be better financially for your current situation and your future. You're only trying to help, but if these are about her beliefs and it's a non-negotiable and it's a boundary, it seems like there isn't going to be that compromise until you're married. And if she's not going to move in, maybe the compromise can be on her end by, like she said, like saving a little extra, putting more money towards the debt, anything. There's got to be some kind of compromise on her end. Hello? Someone's calling me. Likely fraud. Likely fraud. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my housemate I'm moving out and taking everything with me? This story came March 27th, 2026. I've lived with my two friends in a house, rented room by room, for 10 months, and around 3 months into it, this girl we don't know moved in to fill the last room. I was initially excited to have another girl move in, as my two friends are guys, so I greeted her first when she moved in, but my excitement was quickly dulled as her first words to me weren't hello, but what are your plans to clean this place up? This annoyed me immediately as the place was in pretty good condition, but I explained the way we clean and tidy. We clean up after ourselves with a weekly cleaning day, which happened to fall the day after she moved in. I showed her around, explaining what belonged to who, what was communal, etc. And then I let her settle in, but there were already problems the next day when we found that she had used various things of ours to cook, and then half-arsed washing them, leaving dirty food and stains on our dishes and utensils. This happened a few times before one of my friends explained we didn't mind her using our stuff until she got her own, provided that she actually cleaned it after. She then shouted at me for 15 minutes, even though I wasn't the one who even brought it up, and said that I was trying to look good in front of the boys, who have been my friends for years. Cue the laundry list of issues we have faced over the past 7 months. She uses the clothes drying rack 5 days a week, not accounting for the other 3 of us in the house, still won't clean our dishes, has cracked the wood on our chopping boards using them as lids for hot frying pans, leaves her hair all over the bathroom and kitchen floor, uses all of my freezer space leaving me with none, leaves the microwave and air fryer dirty, leaves pee and on the toilet seat, and takes my pads, tampons, razors, etc. without asking. These are a quarter of our grievances, which we have tried to address, only for her anger to be directed solely at me. The house has never been in worse condition, and her only solution is to complain to us for the mess. 90% of it is obviously hers, then asks us to send her money to buy cleaning products, we have plenty, and then not help with the weekly clean. Me and my other 2 housemates have been looking for a reason to leave, and I just got a new job opportunity. So we took this chance to find a 3-bed flat to rent as a whole, and we are moving in next week. The thing is that 90% of the things in this house are bought by us. We will be taking the toaster, microwave, kettle, drying racks, air fryer, our pots and pans, the iron, Hoover, and much more. Pretty much all of our communication with her is now through me, as the boys refuse to talk to her. So I have decided to not even bother letting her know and let her find out when A, she notices people coming for viewings, and B, the moving van arrives. We didn't expect her to buy things that we all use communally. Hello? But she has maybe twice ever contributed in this household financially, so she can deal with buying her own stuff and learn to clean up her own messes. Am I the a-hole for not telling her? Edit. As it's room by room renting, she will not have to leave or experience an increase in rent or bills, and the landlord is the person organizing the viewings. I'm not worried about taking my things, obviously, I paid for them. The same goes for the guys. This is about the fact that she will not be aware that there will be next to no household basics or furnishings until they're gone. Like, obviously, if it was a good roommate, you would give them a heads up and let them know, but because she hasn't been...
Not today.
Yeah, We have an update, and it came 1 month later. We are now at April 30th, 2026. We actually did not move out, when we were meant to. As it turns out, the prospective landlord did not have the correct licensing and couldn't produce it when requested. Luckily, we still had some tenancy left. We got our deposit back and found a better and cheaper flat and moved in last week, which is going great. On to the roomie reaction. She got home from work early and found me taping up a box with my door open and asked me, "Are you leaving?" Turns out she knew this already, but still individually asked me and my housemates if we were leaving and asked us to each leave behind a few possessions so she had just one thing. We did not leave anything of ours except for our shower curtain, which she had stained with hair dye. Yes, we took the toilet paper and cleaning supplies as she never bought any of those ever. It was honestly quite a calm departure except from messaging asking how much things were and last-ditch efforts to get us to leave her things and her telling me to take out the bin on my way out. A few days later, she called me 4 times, but I didn't see them as I was at work. When I did see the calls, I just blocked her number and I've never been in such bliss. We can all walk around our flat without feeling uncomfortable, and I haven't been shouted at once in my own home, and the boys also stepped up to move out and laid down the law, so I had backup. New job, new home, life is great. Having a bad roommate is the worst. The worst! It's terrible. But do you guys think that she should have told this girl with more advance notice, you know? I need a sip of water, and so do you. It's hydration station. Cheers. I'm almost done my whole glass. I clocked in for hydration station, did you? So you may have missed it, but I did one of the worst things I ever could have done, and I played Bean Boozled on my second channel. And if you have not played that, good, don't. It was horrific. One of the worst experiences. I committed to it, I did it, and if you have not watched it, please, just for my sake, go and watch it. You don't even have to subscribe, just go and watch the video because I literally ran away to like throw up twice, okay? Please. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my schizophrenic sister living with me? This story came March 26th, 2026. I, mid-20s female, have a sister, Mandy, early 40s female, who is schizophrenic. We're not very close because she met her then husband and left to live in Europe when I was very young. Our relationship has always been Skype calls or messages ever since then. Have seen her twice in person ever since she left. For context, I had a pretty rough childhood. My mom was emotionally and physically abusive, and I spent most of my early years up to young adulthood taking care of others from children to adults. Moving out and becoming independent was a huge deal for me. I spent years working on my mental health, and I'm finally in a good place and living the life I have always dreamed of, filled with peace, quiet, stability, and love. I am very proud of the life I've been able to create for me and my significant other, who has been my rock throughout this entire issue. My sister's life, however, has become the complete opposite. After her divorce, things went pretty downhill for her, unfortunately, and her mental health has not been okay. She has been in and out of hospitals and was diagnosed with schizophrenia, which, if you know anything about it, it's a very difficult disability if not treated properly. She denies her diagnosis, refuses medication, and has led to her becoming homeless, a missing person, an unpredictable being due to her erratic behavior and giving signs of life every couple months or so to ask for money with little to no explanation on her well-being or current situation. Recently, after 6 months of not knowing anything about her, she reached out, and for the first time since our countless efforts to come home, she asked to come back home. Mind you, we live in a continent of America, so it would be very expensive to bring her back because she legally cannot travel unsupervised. It just says continent with stars, so I'm not sure where exactly they're speaking of. We all have a bit of debt now from previous attempts to try to get her back and or giving her money she asked for whenever she does give signs of life, but would do it again if it meant she's safe and has a roof over her head. The problem is no one can really take her in. My dad has serious health issues and is also taking care of his mom. Her mom lives in a tiny studio and has her own serious health issues as well. My other sister, Stacy, is a single mom and is scared of having Mandy around her child due to her unpredictable behavior. Somehow that has led to me being the best choice since I don't have kids and I live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with my significant other and our cat. But honestly, I don't want to. I finally have the peace I've worked so hard to get to become yet again someone else's caretaker. I don't want to disrupt the life I've been able to build now that I'm finally free, stable, and for the first time, happy. On top of the debt that I've accumulated to try and help her in the past, I feel guilty because she's my sister and I know she needs help. But I feel like it would be at the cost of my own mental health and the life it took me so long and hard to build. So, am I the a-hole and how do I tell my family? I've seen some of you guys comment in the past that you know someone in your own family who's schizophrenic, you've dealt with it firsthand, so I would love your input if you've dealt with that or even other severe mental health issues. What would your opinion be? Do you think she should feel guilty if she said no? Or do you think she shouldn't say no and she should take her on because she is sister? We have an update. Me and my family have spoken very briefly, so it's not a huge update or the final update, but we did chat. No, I am not going to take my sister. If she stays with me, it would be at most 2 days. My significant other agrees. Genuinely not more than that, and I don't care. My family agreed and understood, so we're good on that. Thankfully, I know that that was the main concern. So far, my dad is the only one open to the idea of her coming back and is open to not only bringing her back if she accepts her diagnosis, drinks her meds, and is willing to go to a home, be an inpatient, or in a facility. But he would rather have her closely supervised than far and not know anything. He understands it's an expense and he's willing to do anything to help my sister. By the way, my dad is awesome and has always been that supportive of the three of us. When I had my own struggles and I had an attempt, he was the first person who told me he believed in me and he didn't give up on me and knew that I would figure it out. He also took me to the hospital, and when I finally moved out of my mom's, was the first person to celebrate and buy me appliances for my apartment and would buy me groceries every now and then or give me money for gas, etc. Still up to this day shows up randomly with groceries just in case I'm tight with money and I'm too scared to ask for help. My heart. So I know he would go above and beyond for my sister too. However, I feel like my sister would take advantage of that and I don't know how to go on about that. He made a comment of financing his house if it's necessary, and I'm incredibly against that. My dad is in his 70s and I just want him to retire and enjoy whatever life he has left. Hopefully a lot. Stacy and her mom both agree it would be better for her to stay exactly where she is, but they are open to the idea of bringing her back home in the future if she's in a better place or more self-aware. Oh, and another thing, a lot of people saying due to our time apart, she means nothing to me. That's still my sister, and while no, we're not close now, we were when I was little. I still love her very much, and I feel horrible that she's in this situation. Because of the distance I've had from her and how I've also gone through my share of struggles so early in my life, I have become the one that talks from a realistic perspective and not just wishful thinking. My dad in particular has been extremely grateful for that side of me. To be fair, he's the one that I'm worried about the most, more than Mandy, to be honest. It's been difficult to see his health decline because of this situation. Of course. That's his child at the end of the day. No parent wants to go through that. It's awful. Not knowing if they're okay every day. It's a horrible situation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for running away to give birth? I, 23 female, and my husband, 25 male, have been together for 4 years, married for 2, and we were expecting our first child. My relationship with my mother-in-law was never amazing, but before this, she always kept to herself, and so did I. And for the record, my relationship with my husband's father and brother was always really good. When I got pregnant, I told my husband that I wanted to keep it a secret for at least 3 months, because my own mother miscarried 5 times in between my and my younger siblings. I thought that this fact could affect me and my pregnancy, and because I remember the heartbreak of my mom losing all those babies. I didn't want our families to feel it. He totally agreed and even said it would be our cool little secret. 2 days after I told him, I got a text from my mother-in-law saying that she knew it was a girl and that it was selfish of me to keep the news of our baby girl away from her and her family. Just for the record, I was around 4 weeks pregnant at that point, so I had no idea about the sex myself, so I don't know where that came from. I confronted my husband, to which he replied, "You are not expecting me to hide this from my mom, right? She deserves to know it's my child too." I was furious and didn't talk to him for around a week after this. Needless to say that in that week after this incident, everyone knew that I was pregnant, and people were even mad at me for wanting privacy on this. Then the harassment from mother-in-law started at around 4 months. My husband went to visit his family and left my mother-in-law responsible for watering the plants. When we came back, a whole nursery was made, all pink, with the name Olga Bertha painted on the wall. Keep in mind that I had no idea about the gender still, and of course, this was an extreme privacy violation. I had a harsh conversation with her. She cried, and my husband then got mad because I was apparently mean to his mom. But this was just the beginning of the harassment. She was sending me articles every day about the bad effects of working out during pregnancy, criticizing what I had for every meal, and started crying because I want to exclusively breastfeed. She literally said, "Feeding my baby is a critical bonding moment, and you're stealing that from me," for not wanting visitors for 1 month. And then onto the delivery room. To sum it up, she wanted to be there. I said no, I only wanted my husband there. She seemed a little hurt, but never talked about it again, until my husband was showering and a message from her popped up. We had a lunch date on that day, so I assumed it was just the location, and I opened it just to find hundreds of messages of their plan on how she would get in the delivery room when I was too tired to argue to see her baby being born. This is insane. I cried a lot when I was alone, not gonna lie to you guys, but then I made peace with it. On that Monday, I told him I was going to spend some days with my parents, and if something happened, I would tell him. I drove from North Carolina to Florida, where my family is, went into labor, gave birth with my mom and my 2 sisters in the room. I had a healthy baby boy, not even a girl, without my husband's knowledge. Now to present time. My son is now 2 weeks old, and I finally told my husband what I did. He is driving down here and yelled at me for giving birth without telling him, and for not including him on the birth certificate or the name choice. He keeps saying that he and his mom will sue me. So, am I the a-hole for running away to give birth? Now, I don't know how all the legality of that works with dad being on the birth certificate, whatever, but mom was absolutely insane. Your husband totally betrayed the pact you made that you guys were gonna keep it private until you're out of your first trimester. Ugh, I'm just disgusted by the rest of the story. I understand you did what you had to do to give birth in the safest, most comfortable way possible. Of course, no husband's gonna like their child being born without their knowledge. But I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think she did the right thing, or do you think she's an a-hole for how she handled it? I wanna know. Let's talk about it. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.